Hello friends, welcome to my channel Comprotek. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So how are you all? Today I am back with my another video on class and object. So let's study about this segment. In my last video, we had seen a basic structure of a Java program, and there we have declared certain class, right? So let's study what is a class. Class is a collection of objects and it does not take any space on memory. Class is also called as blueprint logical entity. Now, what do you mean by logical entity? Logical entity means we are designing a code, like we are designing our logic in the code. Okay? So, whenever we create a class, no memory is allocated in the computer. A class is a group of similar objects because here we can create multiple objects inside the class. Okay. Now we will see about the object as well in the upcoming slide. Before that, now there are two types of class: predefined class and user-defined class. Now, what do you mean by predefined class and what do you mean by user-defined? When we talk about predefined class is something which is already written inside the Java library. Just we need to import them according to our usage. We don't need to create them. That is predefined class, such as scanner, console, system, string, maths. Okay. Now what do you mean by user-defined class? When we talk about user-defined class, as per the name suggests, these are the class which are created by ourselves. The class which we create, those are known as user-defined class. Okay. Let's discuss about this further. That suppose we are creating a class which we are naming as, let's say we are naming it as cricket. Okay. So inside cricket class, what can be the objects? Bat can be object, a ball can be object, wicket stump can be object. So these are the certain objects which we can create inside our cricket class. Okay. Now what can be the methods inside the cricket class? Methods are the functions which we will discuss in our upcoming videos as well. So let me summarize it in a brief way that when we talk about methods, these are the functions. Okay, so inside the cricket class, we can take our players as one function. Okay, now when we talk about object, what is an object? An object is an instance of the class. Memory is allocated as soon as an object is created. Okay, so an object is an instance of class that executes the class. Once the object is created, it takes up the space like other variable in the memory. So it's a real world entity based upon which our object-oriented programming concept has come up, which we have already discussed in our one of the videos. Objects can be created many times as per the requirement. This is clear? Now how to declare an object? Let's see in our upcoming slide. This is a syntax for object, that is class name, object name equals to new class name and a semicolon. First of all, we will put our class name, then we will create an object name, then we will declare the keyword new, and after that we will put the class name and parenthesis. So, what is class name and parenthesis? You might be thinking why we are writing 2 times class name. So, my dear friends, this should be clear that after new, the class name and parenthesis which is mentioned, that is a constructor. About constructor, we will read in my upcoming video. Okay, so this is the syntax for object. Now let's see a program based upon class and object. Are you ready for the program? Let's go on it. Hello friends, so let's write our second program in Java, that is on class and object. So here I have already created the package as cricket. So now I am going to create a class over here. So let's name the class name as IPL. Now what is IPL? IPL means Indian Premier League. Of course, the most interesting cricket tournament for all the cricket lovers, right? So next we are going to check mark this box, that is public static void main string args. Then we are going to click on finish. So let's go. Here, see, the public class IPL is created. Now for time being I am removing these statements because we are going to go one by one. So let's first declare the variable, that is int a is equal to 11, and then we're going to declare a string type variable, that is string b is equal to players. Okay, so when we talk about 11 is an integer data type which is stored inside the variable a. Okay, and after that there is a catch in this statement. We have declared a string type variable b, which means players. Now you might be thinking why I have encoded it within the inverted quotes, because it's a string. Computer can identify an input as a string variable whenever we are putting inverted commas. We are encoding it with the inverted quotes. Why this is so? Because see, if I am removing it, then it is giving me an error, and the error message is, what is the error message? Players cannot be resolved to a variable, because players is a word. That means computer is taking it as string, but then computer cannot take, like a computer is understanding it's a string, but it cannot take it as a string because we have removed the inverted quotes. So that's why it is giving this particular error. Suppose we are mentioning 22, then it will give us the error, that is type mismatch. Why? Because computer is understanding 22 as an integer, but we have declared it under the string variable. So it gives us a type mismatch error. But if we are putting 22 inside the inverted quote, then computer will take 22 as a string and there will be no error. Okay. So it is mandatory that whenever we are giving input any kind of string, then we are putting that input inside the inverted quotes. Then now we are going to declare a function inside this particular class, that is void show. Now what is void? Void is a data type, which means that the method name show, the function name show, will not return us any value. That's why we have declared it as void, which means no return type. Now let's write body for this particular code, that is system.out.print a plus b. Okay. Now here, why I mentioned this function? Because this class cannot execute without this particular function. The program will start executing for this particular class from this particular function statement. So it is very mandatory to declare the function inside the class. Then now this curly braces is the end for this particular function one, and this curly brace is the closing for this particular one. Okay. Now we are going to create another class. Let's mention it as class test. So you might be thinking why we are putting another class. We are putting this particular class because we haven't declared the main function yet, and without the main function the program will not run. That's why it is very important for the program to have the main function. So we will put it as public static void main string arguments. Okay. Now inside this main method we are going to declare our object. So how to write the syntax of the object? Just now we have studied that we will write the class name, that is IPL. then we will put the object name, let's say obj1, then we will put our keyword new. Why we put the keyword as new? Because new is a keyword which dynamically allocates the memory for the object. Because we have studied just now that class does not occupy space in the memory. It is the object which occupies space in the memory once it is created and once it is initialized by our constructor. This is our constructor. So when we are writing second time IPL parenthesis, this is our constructor. Okay. So what is a constructor? We will read it in our next video. But just remember that constructor name is similar to the class name and it initializes the object. Okay. After this statement, we are going to refer the object. So we are going to write obj1 dot from where our object will take the input. The object will take the input from the show method. And where is the show method? Show method is inside this particular class. So this curly braces is the end of this and this one is the end of this. So now our program is completed. Now let's run this program. Okay. So on running this program, we are getting the output you can see over here, that is 11 players. Okay. Now let's change this string value and let's put it as null. Okay. And let's run it now. Just 11 because it will take this as null null. Okay. So let's do it as our by default players only for now, because regarding the data types and regarding the outputs of the data types we will read in our upcoming videos. So this video is based upon the class and object only. So there you go, we are getting the output as 11 players. Understood? This is clear about the class and object. So this is the program based upon our class and object. If you have any query related to this particular program, then you can mention it over the description of this video. Then also you can DM me in my Instagram channel, whose name is already mentioned in the description of this particular video. So very soon I'll be returning back with my another video. Till then, take care, goodbye and thank you.